children, not something that I had to contend with as a child, but it really starts for many children before they're even born. I think all of us will probably have seen a pregnancy announcement on social media where the parents will tag themselves and post a photo of their pregnancy scan to say, oh, it's exciting, we've got a little one on the way, this is when they're due. Some mums don't realise that their NHS number is at the top of that scan, so you get their private NHS Chi number as part of that. And from the moment that picture is posted, that child has a digital footprint. They are born to the internet, and they aren't even here yet. And it continues. So when they're born, sometimes parents will again tag themselves, so you know both parents' name. They'll tag the hospital that they were born in, the location. They'll tell you their weight, their time of birth, if they're healthy, and a lovely photo of this child, which is lovely to see, but that's a lot of quite personal information about that child that's then on the internet. And it spirals. So by the time a child is 2, 81% of them will have a presence online. 68% of parents admit to regularly posting information about their children online, photos and videos. And then by 5, when a child gets to school, the average child will have 1,500 photos of them posted online. So when they get to 13 and they actually can take control of their digital footprint and take control of their digital identity, when they're allowed to have a social media account, they've got thousands of photos of them online. They have a massive digital footprint that they have no idea the scale of, where it's been copied to. It's a massive, for me, a massive security risk that children at 13 cannot comprehend. But why do parents share? So I think we can all be guilty of it. And it's not even just parents. It's aunties and uncles, it's friends, it's grandparents, it's anybody who has a child in their life. And we share because ultimately we want to stay connected. So my brother's about to move to Australia, and I'll want to keep him up to date with what's happening with my children and send him photos. And that's the great thing about technology and social media. So of course we want to share. There's also a massive parenting community. I don't know if any of you are involved in any parenting communities. I'm on a few Facebook groups, and they can be invaluable for just the level of information. As a new parent, your kid's got a rash and you think, oh my goodness, what is this? You go in these parenting communities and somebody's already posted a photo of their child with this rash and you think, oh, it's okay. It's not that bad, it's fine, or I don't need to go to the doctor, it's fine. So it's really valuable to have those communities. But when you look at the information that's in there, you've got all sorts of pictures of kids and rashes and all sorts in these communities, which is health data. It's really personal data about this child, which at the time the parents posted because they're worried. But long term, that post's never going to be taken down. You're not going to remember that you posted that information. And for some parents, they think of social media as an online scrapbook for their child, so they can go back and look through their entire life and all the achievements that they had, the fun times that they had, and the funny things that they did through these social media accounts. So I get it, but what are the risks? And I don't believe that people fully understand what the risks are to make an informed decision on whether they should post or not post about their child. So some of the concerns are, one, privacy. So when you're posting information about children, you really are posting that picture and impacting their future privacy. Their current privacy, but also their future privacy as they get into adulthood. And it leaves us with a big issue in the future for identity theft and fraud. So Barclays is concerned, and they've said that by 2030, they predict that 2/3 of identity fraud will be linked to sharenting. And if we go back to what I said in the first slide, and we're posting the photos of when they're born with potentially their place of birth, their date of birth, maybe we've posted things about their first holiday, childhood friend. These things may sound familiar, but we've architected a lot of our authentication models online to answer these personal questions about you. You pick a couple of questions. What was your first car? Who was your childhood best friend? What was your first pet's name? And we've architected that because people don't tend to have that information readily available, publicly available online. However, we've moved into a time where actually that's pretty rich data that's available about most people online. So as children grow up, probably something Jude will be worried about as well in the fraud space is that actually by 2030, in the next 5 years, we're going to see the repercussions of all this sharenting for children over the last few years. In a really interesting study done in Australia, it was around 4,500 parents were surveyed. 7% of them said in the last 12 months that they had been directly approached to share sexually explicit images of their children. So the exposure to predators online is a real concern. And that's parents who just